everyone. It's so good to have you today. And we just want to welcome you to Recovery in Action. And my name is Sharon Cranfill. And today we have our guest, Charmin Gabbard. And it's so good to have her here. And we have so many exciting things going on in our community. And the main thing is I want to just reiterate to everyone that when there's breath in your body, there's hope. There's always hope in recovery. And as you're going to find out today with Charmin, she is a living testimony that recovery is possible. And now what she is doing is giving back to the community. The help that she received, she is putting and instilling in other people, men and women, children. She loves working with people. But first of all, I just want to tell everyone again, welcome. And don't forget to go to your meetings. There's meetings every night of the week here in Connersville now. Monday night is Better Days. Tuesday night is Brianna's Hope. Wednesday night is AA. Thursday night is AA. And there's a Brianna's Hope in Cambridge City. Friday night, there's a Celebrate Recovery and Liberty. And there is a NA meeting here. Saturday night at the Methodist Church is a Brianna's Hope. And Sunday evening is there's a AA meeting at the parish house at St. Gabriel's. And then there's a meeting for youth and adults, separated meetings that are people struggling with family members, children, husbands, wives, moms, dads, of people that are in addiction. And we need to support everyone in the family because, as well as you well know, when addiction is in a family, the entire family suffers. And that's what we want to help people realize, is that there is hope in our community. There's things coming up, things going on. And we have a big event coming up February 22nd. And that is at Growing Branches for Christ. It is a fundraiser. It's for the House of Ruth, and it is called Chili and Chocolate. And it's from 12 to 4, and we are going to have carry-out available, and you can call a cell phone number 265-7875. If you're working and you want us to bring carry-out, we would love to. And it's a fundraiser again for the House of Ruth, and you'll have chili, chocolate, and cornbread, and you can have cheese and onion, a drink, and all of it is for $7. And it's going to be great. I've never had chili and chocolate together, but they say it's fantastic. So we're going to find out. Our chocolate we're going to use, we'll have brownies. So anyone that would like to participate in that or come to the fellowship hall at the church at Growing Branches, and also a treat we have for the children, Spider-Man will be there for pictures and to talk. And he's a great mentor with the kids, and he's a big motivator and loves speaking with children. So now I would like to turn it over to Charmin, and so she can tell us about the harm reduction program that we now have here in Connersville available to the public.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the opportunity to let me come on the show and talk about why it is we do what we do and the reason we're here. First of all, the harm reduction program was first in effect here in Fayette County in 2015. Mm-hmm. And at that time, Fayette County was identified as being an at-risk county. So Dr. White had determined that to declare our county as a health emergency. So that was the process that had to happen in order to even implement what was known as the syringe exchange. So what that means is that we are at greater risk here in this county to come in contact with HIV or hepatitis C.
Right.
And so, as we know, our numbers for individuals who inject drugs is really high. And so because of that, what the harms reduction program is here for is to help individuals that are in active addiction to learn how to take better care of themselves. And so with saying that, what we do is we try to teach them how to use proper equipment so that they can so that we can reduce the spread of infection throughout this community.
Right.
Recently, the Center for Disease Control released some data, and they identified 220 counties in the United States that were at higher risk than other areas, and Fayette County is 81.
Wow. Out of that many counties, 220 in the United States, and we're 81.
At higher risk of
yeah.
having the next viral Hep C or HIV outbreak.
Yes.
So that means that our numbers are continuing to increase instead of decrease. And that's really scary.
Yes, it is.
So what I brought with us today is these are the items that we are able to give out to participants. And so, as you know, our program was shut down because of with Fayette Regional being shut down, and then we just didn't have the space.
Right.
And our program was up for renewal in July of last year. And so when we went before the commissioners to renew the program, we started working with, and when I say we, Communities That Care, Meridian, and a team from IU Prevention. We started working together on a plan as to how we could make the program stronger.
Right.
And so when we went in front of the commissioners, we brought in the Indiana State Department of Health, of course, and some experts from other areas. And before the commissioners would reapprove, they wanted a business plan, basically.
Right.
They wanted to know how we were going to operate and what we were going to do and how and basically why. And so through the time that we had, we were able to come up with what now we call the Alliance. So we partnered with Reed Health, Meridian Health Services, Communities That Care, and a team from Bloomington Prevention Insights. And so we want to be the best program that we can be for this community. And by coming up with this new team, we're now currently located inside of Meridian. So our hours are Wednesday 9 to noon and Thursday 2 to 4. And so we deliberately set those hours because it gives our participants access to insurance. There's a navigator on site during those days. And so if someone doesn't have insurance and they want to sign up for insurance, then Meridian has that on-site navigator.
See, that's great to have that, just having that availability.
And then also one of our thoughts, and when Meridian was willing to house us, was that it's already inside of a mental health facility, and Meridian's getting ready to, they're in the process of opening up a primary care center there as well. So oftentimes with the individuals that we're working with, it's not uncommon to have a broken syringe in some part of their body, or an abscess, or other medical issues that because of lack of insurance, or still the stigma that's related to substance use, they don't go get treated out of fear of
what's going to happen,
or even the way they're treated.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know that.
Yes.
I mean, so we felt like the location and the services that Meridian can offer immediately. It's open enrollment during those days as well. So if someone comes in and they're ready, or we always ask them like their readiness, if they're interested in treatment today, or if they're thinking about it. So we have all of those services available there. And I think that's another positive. The location itself is a positive. We're no longer in the basement of the courthouse, where right next door was the jail, and there was always...
Oh, people were scared to go. Yeah, it's like we're going to the courthouse for needles. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we've only been open since January 22nd, and one of our recent open days, we had five 5 new participants in one day. That's a success to me.
Yeah.
So I think that the biggest service we offer is compassion, above all, and hope. And I think that I'm coming up on 6 years. February 28th, I'll have 6 years of recovery from an IV drug use. And when I'm able to say, if I can change, I know you can too.
Absolutely.
And it's a matter of just, what can I do to help you get to where you want to be? Because I know that where they're at in life, their will to live and their will to die often is the same.
Yeah.
They don't want to live like that anymore. And for me, it's never about, why are you doing what you're doing? My thought is, what happened to you to get you to where you're at?
Yeah.
So just a hug, or, I might not know you, but I love you. That makes a difference. That makes all the difference in the world.
And so many people can't believe that you can be that way with them. And that's one thing, because, what does it cost someone a smile and a hug, and just to tell someone that you love them? Sometimes you're the only person that's going to do that.
Ever.
Yeah.
They've been, from what I know and my own experiences, the trauma is there.
Yes, it is.
It's there. And for me, I know you cannot say something to someone that has a substance use disorder that it's not already been said to them. You cannot make someone hate themselves any more than they already hate the man in the mirror. So for us, like an act of kindness or compassion, we have individuals that ride their bikes. And last week it was super cold. So to be able to give someone a warm pair of socks and some gloves, that's an act of love. And just to say, I care enough about you to give you a pair of gloves or a pair of dry socks. So the things that we also have in the program are, we have washcloths, we have bars of soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, because when you're in active addiction, sometimes those are the last things that you think about or that you will purchase. We have sanitary napkins and things, the hygiene items for women that some of us just take for granted.
Right.
So I know there's a lot of controversy that surrounds the items that we give out, and some people don't understand why. They're like, okay, it's one thing that you're giving out the syringes, but to give out a cooker or a tie-off or the water, and they don't understand why. For me, my biggest mission is to keep an individual that's in active use, their bodies in the best physical shape that we can keep them in until they're ready to get help. Because we know in the long run that all of that harm from injecting over and over and the damage that it causes is eventually going to cost more money in the long run to taxpayers through health care.
Right.
So if we can teach them to use a tourniquet versus a purse strap or an extension cord, that's less tissue damage that it causes the individual. And so if we can teach them how to inject properly versus what they know and how to release this before they inject that substance, then it's less tissue damage that's caused and less damage done on the veins. And so with the equipment that we give out, some people don't realize that you can also spread HIV and Hep C through injection equipment because it's still coming in contact with blood. So what I try to educate them is to use each syringe one time, each piece of cotton that we give them one time, the vials of water. Sometimes what I take for granted is having water all the time, having access to that. Sometimes someone that's injecting drugs, they don't have access to clean water, and they'll use toilet water. They'll use mud puddle water. So again, our mission is to stop the spread of infection throughout this community and within themselves. And so to give them a vial of water, and right there, all of those things right there is ensuring that they're safe. It's all about keeping them safe. And so with giving out the syringes, we also have biohazard containers. And so they what's asked of them is to after they use their syringes. The goal is to get it to where they're using each syringe one time and disposing of it and bringing it back to us. And so what we do is the first few times that they come to us, then we get a feel for how many times they're using and how many times a day they're injecting. And so, as I said, the goal is to get them to use each piece of equipment one time and dispose of it, so that way they're not contaminating themselves or other people. And then for them to bring them back to us. And if there's a lack of bringing it back to us, then we'll take them down to a minimum number. Because there's also a form of, I feel like, accountability in it.
Right.
And that gives me an opportunity to be like, what's going on? Or when they bring back to us, then I can encourage them. Like, look at you, you know, thank you for what you're doing. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal to them. So we also have wound care kits that we are able to give out because, as you know, abscesses are really big. And so we have antibiotic ointment, gauze, and Band-Aids. Again, it's all about keeping them and keeping the spread of infection the best that we can. We give out alcohol pads too, so we want them to wipe the area before they inject, and we want them to reduce the harm that they're doing to their body, because at this point they don't really care, and maybe they don't know how to care for themselves. So I get to care for them and to show them and to just to say, you know, I love you enough to help you. And so we have like hand sanitizer for their hands, the alcohol to wipe the area, and then again Band-Aids if they're bleeding, because if they do have an abscess, and sometimes you'll see where they continue to go in that spot because of the rest of their veins are damaged. So that's the reason we give out these things, is because all injection equipment can and will be shared if they don't know any better. So to know that, hey, I can still become infected by using someone's pop can, because that's a go-to. So to give this to them and to ask them to discard that, that just, you know, and that's what we get to do. We also have fentanyl test strips. So with this, and it's unrealistic to think that somebody's just going to throw away their fentanyl, but what they can do, there's many services available now where someone can call, or at least they're aware of it, that it is testing positive for fentanyl. So with a rinse from after they've pulled up their drug, they can test the drug or with a rinse off of that, and that's just where they pull up a substance in the syringe, and then they can test with the strip, and if it tests positive for fentanyl, then they're more aware. So then again, another service that we're able to give out is Narcan, and to have Narcan on hand, because what we know, most people that do inject have other people in the room, but what we also know is 80% of overdose deaths, they're found alone. And that's because of the fear of going to jail themselves or their own probation, parole, whatever. So the fear of being arrested. So what I try to encourage individuals is to use the Narcan, call 911. Never leave the person. If you're going to leave them, at least call 911. I know that some people don't understand that or why someone would, but we have to remember that we're dealing with unhealthy thinking people. So the more that I can do to get someone to think and make better decisions, the better they're going to be physically in the long run when they decide to take that next step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the Narcan, now you even, don't you teach the classes on how to administer the Narcan, and families that have maybe someone that their son, daughter, you know, someone is using opiates, heroin, you know, fentanyl, whatever, that if they have this on hand, I mean, it can save their life.
Yes. So our program is not just for individuals with substance use disorders. Any family member that, or We actually encourage anyone that has a prescription for opiates. Now we know that that's best practice.
Right.
So anyone that has a prescription for opiates, it's encouraged that they have Narcan available, because oftentimes one provider will prescribe something and another provider will prescribe something to someone, especially when we look at elderly. And so sometimes that just not knowing the combination of what a drug can do. So what we know is if someone is if we suspect someone is overdosing and they are administered Narcan, if they don't have opiates in their system, this is not going to harm them.
Right, they won't be harmed, yeah.
But if they do have opiates in their system, then this is a life-saving tool.
Absolutely.
And that's the way that we look at it. Just like a defibrillator, it's a life-saving tool. And to have this one hand is just another tool.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, our program is for anyone, not just individuals that's in active use. Family members of, and another service that we're able to provide is for diabetics. We gladly accept their syringes and will dispose of them. We also have the biohazard containers from this size up to a half-gallon size. So if a family member for a diabetic wants to come in and get a biohazard or return the syringes, we'll take them.
Now, do you actually give the diabetics syringes also?
We have the same syringes that we don't have certain syringes. I know now they have other options for diabetics where the medication's already in
right, and like the EpiPen or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
So
tolerate calibrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have that available, but we do have syringes, and so for someone that still uses the one and throw away, we welcome them to come and use our services as well.
Yeah, because sometimes
free of charge.
You're having to have the syringes and stuff for a diabetic. That can be costly, if you don't have insurance and stuff, or if you do have insurance, because sometimes, I mean, I have family members that's diabetic, and it requires a lot of, syringes. So it's definitely a good thing if they have availability to it.
We have had people in the past that were diabetic, and so I think sometimes it's enough if you're living on a fixed income. If you can purchase the insulin and you can't purchase the syringes, then absolutely. The program is a harms reduction program. It's so much more than just a needle exchange. And moving forward, we want to do more community educational pieces. We want anyone that's interested in having Narcan in their business or home, we're more than willing to train and give this free of charge so that it's available to them.
And see, that's awesome. I have a young lady that just came into the program not too long ago, and she had to be Narcan 11 times. And had they, someone not called 911, I mean, she very well could not be with us today. And then, like you were saying, I've had women come in with cellulitis and cysts, and from injecting with dirty needles and stuff. And it's sad, but it's reality.
It is.
And people says, well, we shouldn't have to worry about that. No, we shouldn't, but we do. Reality says that you do, and and like you said, instead of decreasing, things are increasing, and therefore the education, and I'm the type of person I would love just for it to go away, but
that's just not the reality
of it. It's not happening.
When we look at and even coming from a faith-based standpoint for me, what I know is I don't get to decide who deserves to live or take that next breath.
Yeah.
What I know is my job is to love people, and my job is to love someone that is addicted to porn just the same as I love someone that is an active substance user. It is all the same. We're not going to arrest our way out of it.
No.
That punishment mentality hasn't worked yet. So when we bring in connection and compassion and love, That's what changes people. I'm not saying that arresting someone shouldn't happen, because I do believe
Oh,
that
yes,
we
absolutely.
do have
There's-
to, and I believe there's consequences for our actions
Absolutely.
in every area of life. But someone that is your everyday substance user, that is inflicting harm upon themselves and their family surroundings, they need help. And until they're ready to take that next step, my job is to love them and help them.
Yes.
And that's how I see it.
Yeah, and I'm like you, looking at it, you know, through biblical standards. I mean, love covers a multitude of sins. I mean, and we are to love one another. I mean, that's the greatest commandment of all.
That's it.
Is to love one another, and it is hard. I'm not going to say, you know, what's the easiest thing, but when you're looking at the person instead of what they're doing, that person is someone's daughter, husband, son, father. I mean, it's not just someone, you know, that doesn't matter. That everybody matters.
They have value.
Yes, they do.
And today, almost 200 Americans are going to die from overdose. Every single day, we lose almost 200 people in this country.
Yeah.
And so, if we can save a life by carrying Narcan, then I'm all about it. If it's my
Absolutely.
children, whatever it takes to save my kids, do it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because if that was one of our sons or daughters, I mean, and someone had the ability with Narcan to save them, who would not, you know, want to save them? And, you know, and I'm a firm believer that, you know, all things are possible through Jesus Christ. There is no doubt in my mind. But I'm like you, sometimes we have to love people. They have to see him through us. And the only way they're going to do that is to be able to love them.
That's it.
And without that, it isn't going to work.
I think that our actions speak so much louder. The message and the way we live our lives speaks so much louder than anything that we can say to someone. And they know. I just look at substance use no different than there's so many addictions. The thing with substance use is the behaviors and the look of it. Other things are done in the dark. They're done in secret. But all of the mindset is the same. It's an escape from something. And what I know is oftentimes people that are numbing themselves with a substance, they're running from pain. And so the drug is just a symptom of the problem.
Absolutely. And you know, and I always tell people, you know, people don't wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to be a heroin addict today. I think I'm going to lose everything in my life. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my children. You know, I'm just going to lose everything, my dignity, my integrity, everything. That's not what happens. It's like you said, there's an underlying issue that has to be dealt with. And lots of times it started from a child up. There's hurt. They're broken.
It's proven.
Yes, it is.
Another thing, statistically, like some people think that harm reduction programs increase drug use. It's proven that it decreases. Statistically, it's proven that harm reduction programs decrease drug use because it is a connection to treatment and other services. It's a win. It's a whole win.
Yeah. Well, and two, having a place for them to go. And I just thought it was great because until I talked with you, I didn't realize, I mean, that you give them hygiene. I mean, a pair of gloves, a toboggan, you know, the socks. I mean.
And even contraceptives. What we know, another fact is that syphilis is on the rise. Yeah. Wayne County currently has an outbreak. And so if we can teach someone to protect themselves, that means that my child's being protected as well.
Absolutely.
Because he's being raised in this community.
Yes.
And that's the goal.
Yes. Well, this has been amazing. A lot of stuff to take in, but go see Charmin at Meridian and ask her questions. She'll be glad to educate you, to help you, because the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Get some knowledge. And we just thank you for being with us today. God bless you. and know there's hope in recovery.